Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you our Western Athletic Conference 2011 preview. Now, the Western Athletic Conference loses Boise State this season, but this is still a very tough conference. A lot of good tradition, a lot of historic schools still in this conference. So let's see how well these teams did this past offseason by hitting the recruiting trail. Best recruiting class in the Western Athletic Conference. I'm going with the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. They had to address their defensive side of football. It was a big problem last year, but the headliner of the class is wide receiver Quentin Patton. JUCO transfer. This guy is 6'1", 195. Outstanding speed. You see right here, he has the speed to take it the distance and has tremendous hands. Key recruits in the WAC. You look at Fresno State nabbing cornerback Charles Washington. This guy is going to be an outstanding defensive player. Pat Hill knows how to recruit defensive guys, and he does a great job with Charles Washington. Hawaii snagged a great linebacker in Brendan Daly out of the JUCO ranks. 6'4", 255, should be a terror in the middle. You look at Idaho, getting defensive help up front. Dante Scott is a guy that I really like. Very disruptive force at the point of attack. Should help out that Vandals run defense. Nevada was able to get a nice tailback in Anthony Knight. This guy is outstanding. 6'1", 225. Should probably start as a true freshman. Walton Tamopiu should be an outstanding defensive lineman for the Aggies. This guy is very stout up front. Big guy in the middle. Now you also look at San Jose State. Joe Gray is a guy that's going to be a star in this conference. Very athletic quarterback and has a whip for an arm. Now you look at Utah State, getting linebacker Boje Filamatu. This guy is 6'2", 250, flies over the field, makes a lot of plays in the passing game. Some Western Athletic Conference superlative, starting with the best quarterbacks in the WAC. You have to go with Hawaii's quarterback Bryant Moniz. This guy is a great facilitator of the football. Nice accuracy. He puts the ball in a place where receivers can make plays after the catch. Best running backs in the WAC, you have to go with Louisiana Tech. Their tailback, Lennon Creer, this guy is very explosive, huge guy, and he's going to provide the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs that balance they need on offense to be successful. Receiving core in the Western Athletic Conference, you have to go with the Nevada Wolfpack. You look at guys like Richard Matthews and also Brandon Wimberly, but also keep an eye on freshman wide receiver Aaron Bradley. These guys are very explosive on the edge. Best offensive line, you got to go back to Nevada and look at that veteran group led by left tackle Jeff Nady. These guys up front plow open holes for whoever's going to be back there in the backfield. That's defensive line in the WAC. You got to go with the Hawaii Warriors. These guys are very stout up front. Vaughn Miatoga, he's a talented defensive front that causes a lot of problems in the run game for opposing offenses. Now you look at the best linebackers. You got to go back to Hawaii. Guys like Aaron Brown and Corey Paredes. These guys do a great job sniffing out run plays and active in the passing game. So they're a very solid group of linebackers. Now the best defensive backs in the Western Athletic Conference, I'm going with a surprise. The New Mexico State Aggies, I really like their secondary, led by their cornerback, Danye Coleman. This guy is outstanding. And also cornerback, Jonte Green. These guys are going to be solid this year. But you look at safety, George Callender, another solid playmaker, and he's only a sophomore. Best special teams in the WAC, you got to go with the Idaho Vandals. They have one of the best place kickers in the country, and Troy Fulquar, and punter Bobby Cowan is a guy that gets a lot of air on his kicks. Offensive MVP, you look at Utah State's running back Rob Turbin. This guy returning from injury, very good playmaker, very explosive. You see right here against Utah, 96-yard touchdown run, but this guy is outstanding, should be a solid pro player. Defensive MVP, I'm going with Louisiana Tech's defensive end Matt Broha. This guy is an outstanding pass rusher, very active, uses his hands real well, and has a relentlessness that you want from your defensive end. Should be a key cog in the Bulldogs defense. Freshman of the year in the WAC, I'm going with San Jose State's quarterback Joseph Gray. This guy is going to start as a true freshman. You see right there, he has the arm strength, he has the accuracy, and he also has the ability to make plays outside of the pocket with his legs. You see right here, he's a very good leader, should be a tremendous player for the Spartans. Best pro prospect going back to Utah State with running back Rob Turbin. This guy has a lot of Willis McGahee-like capabilities, very tough runner, and can catch the football out of the backfield, so he has the complete package. Coming back from injury should be a huge success for that Aggies offense. Now you look at the team on the rise, you got to go with Utah State. They do a lot of things well up there in Utah. They do a great job of recruiting, and they play sound fundamental football. And when you do stuff like that, you're going to always be in a situation where you can win a lot of games. They're headed in the right direction. Who has the toughest schedule in the Western Athletic Conference? I'm going with the Nevada Wolfpack. They open up with 4 straight road games. They have some real tough ones in September at Oregon, at Texas Tech, at Boise State, and they also get a late game against Hawaii. That's a tough schedule for a team that lost their quarterback. Predictions in the Western Athletic Conference, starting with number 8, the New Mexico State Aggies. Reasons for optimism: you have to like wide receiver Tavion Rogers. This guy is explosive, very good playmaker, and they brought in a lot of JUCO talent. Now, causes for concern: defensively, can they stop the run? That's the biggest question I have about New Mexico State. Can they hold their own in the trenches? That's going to be the biggest question mark this year. But what we will learn is that JUCO talent they brought in will prove to be a huge asset for the Aggies. Next up is the Vandals of Idaho. Reasons for optimism: defensively, they're very solid, 7 returning starters, and their special teams is one of the best in the Western Athletic Conference. Cause for concern: very inexperienced group of wide receivers and running backs, and that offensive line needs some work. But what we will learn is that quarterback Brian Reeder will be an adequate replacement for Nathan Enderle. Number 6, I have the San Jose State Spartans. Reasons for optimism: veteran offensive line should help out that quarterback and running game, and they also get their talented safety Duke Iheanacho back, and the linebackers are the core of that team, that defense. Now, causes for concern: they're dead last defensively. They have to improve in every statistical category in order to have some success. But what we will learn is that true freshman quarterback Joseph Gray will make a lot of freshman All-American teams. He's that type of player. At number 5, I have the Utah State Aggies. Reasons for optimism: they're finally healthy. So you get a healthy squad, and they're going to be a lot more competitive this season. Plus, you have linebacker Bobby Wagner, and they get back running back Rob Turbin. So that should help out that offense. Cause for concern is they have some questions at quarterback, and they're switching to a new 3-4 defense. How well can they adjust? But what we will learn is that defensively, they will be much better this year with that more aggressive style attacking defense. At number 4, I have the Nevada Wolfpack. Reasons for optimism: they have the best offensive line in the Western Athletic Conference, and they have a solid group of wide receivers, very solid. Cause for concern: they have big holes to fill. They lost their tight end, they lost Colin Kaepernick, and they have a tough September schedule. But what we will learn is that quarterback Cody Bajaro will be a star for the Wolfpack. At 3, I have the Fresno State Bulldogs. Reasons for optimism: they have a solid foundation with head coach Pat Hill. You know he's going to run the football. They're going to have a solid offensive line, great running game, and they also going to play solid defense. Now, causes for concern: they have a very tough schedule, and they are very young. But what we will learn is that 2012 will be the breakout year for Fresno State. At number 2, I have the Hawaii Warriors finishing. Reasons for optimism: they're very tough defensively. Very underrated aspect about their team last year was the play of their defense and quarterback Bryant Moniz. This guy is outstanding, great facilitator of the football. Causes for concern: they have some offensive line issues, and they have to replace some playmakers at the wide receiver and running back spots. But what we will learn is that they could win a share of the title this season. At number 1, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Reasons for optimism: Lennon Creer at running back, an explosive offense, plus an influx of JUCO talent should help out the Bulldogs. Cause for concern is that pass defense, and they have spotty run defense. But what we will learn is that outscoring people will lead the Bulldogs to a WAC title. They're going to surprise a lot. That defense is going to be better than expected. For more college football conference previews, visit footballgameplan.com/collegefootball or visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan. And listen to the Football Game Plan radio show, which airs Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan.